Namaskar. I Shambhavi welcome you all to your channel Galactic Echoes. So let's start exploring the wisdom of Vedic astrology. So today we'll be doing a topic from dynamic astrology, that is Jupiter's transit for all the ascendants. So the important point to note here is that Jupiter was transiting in the sign of Gemini last year also, but it went retrograde. And in this retrograde motion it went backwards to in the sign of Taurus, and now again it went direct on 5th of February 2025 through there from the sign of Taurus. Its direct journey started again towards the sign of Gemini. So now the Jupiter will be entering the sign of Gemini on 14th of May 2025 in the direct motion, and then it will move forward to the sign of Cancer, and then in late October it will again go retrograde and it will come back the Gemini sign again. But now how can we analyze this transit, because it is not a direct transit that Jupiter was direct all the way along, all the way throughout, and now it is again transiting in the sign of Gemini in a direct motion. It isn't like that. So because the retrogression ended and now Jupiter will be moving again towards the Gemini sign and will be entering it, so the predictions and the events which will be manifested in all of your lives will be quite different from the previous one when it had entered into the sign of Gemini in a direct state without going retrograde. Again, when it will come back in the Gemini sign in retrograde motion from the sign of Cancer, we'll make a video on that in late October. But today we'll be focusing on this thing that Jupiter is coming out from the state of retrogression and then again entering the sign of Gemini. And it has a lot of potential energy in it, and some things which were the mending of mistakes will be the theme for everyone, because now Jupiter has directed itself and will be moving in straight path. So let's start with some general points what we should be considering in this transit. So let's dive in. So when analyzing the transit of Jupiter in Gemini, it is essential to prioritize the ascendant placement of the, meaning you have to look onto your ascendant, not the moon. Like if you are an Aries Ascendant, then you should be checking for the Aries Ascendant predictions, not when you have your moon in Aries sign, because I believe that the placement of moon gives a different dynamic to the transits. But the transits, they should be it governs the physical self and immediate circumstances which can be built around us. So these are studied from the ascendant itself. So we should be focusing on the ascendant only, not on the moon signs. Also, you can also predict certain huge impactful events from the moon sign, but for that a different approach has to be taken. Now, the other point to note here is that the Jupiter's influence in this transit is particularly significant due to the strength and the point-based system of astrological analysis, which is Ashtagvarga. Because in Ashtagvarga, the Jupiter has been bestowed with 56 total points to distribute among all the signs from the Aries to Pisces. Jupiter's points are very important to take into consideration. In Ashtagvarga table, you should check for the signs where Jupiter has given maximum marks. That will be the triggering point in your case. For example, if Jupiter has given good points in Gemini itself and it will be transiting in the sign of Gemini, so yes, you can expect certain good positive results in your case. And if it has given below average marks, meaning less than 4, then you shouldn't be demotivated, because Jupiter is the most benefic planet and whatever it does is due to it's focused on just harnessing good energy. So you shouldn't be demotivated with lesser points in the Ashtakvarga system. Now it's important to remember that the transits, they act as a trigger. The events are already indicated in a D1 chart. For instance, if Jupiter in your birth chart rules the 9th and 12th house for an Aries Ascendant and is sitting in the 4th house in an exaltation position, so it can indicate that due to home, emotions, homeland, mother, this transit through Gemini of Jupiter could activate the themes of education, spirituality, or ancestral roots in your case. Or you could also get mentorship from your mother or opportunities related to foreign land through your mother. So this is how we predict the transit, because see, wherever your Jupiter is placed in the chart is the areas through which you will receive the events of the places where it rules, and the transits are the periods where those things or those events will be triggered. Now the next thing is, if Jupiter is retrograde in your chart, then this transit, it may benefit, the benefits may arrive through unconventional or innovative pathways. You are required to think beyond traditional frameworks, encouraging creativity and accountability. It is very important in your case. Just think out of the box if you have this retrograde Jupiter in your natal chart. Now the other thing to notice, the combustion of Jupiter. Is Jupiter is combust in your chart, see, whatever situation is being tied to your Jupiter in the natal chart. For example, if it is retrograde, or if it is combust, or if it is in a debilitation sign, it doesn't mean that it is going to harm you in any way. Why? Because Jupiter is the most benefic planet. So the combustion of Jupiter, it is related to purification. If your Jupiter's degree is lesser than the sun's, meaning if it is behind the sun, then it means that it is advancing towards purification. And if that Jupiter is ahead of your sun in your natal chart in a combust state, that means that Jupiter has been purified, and whatever results you will feel through its transit or through its placement will be highly purified in nature and highly sattvic. There won't be anything lie or any, it will only be attached to truths, naked truths in your case, and positivity. So the whatever position or situation or condition is tied to your Jupiter is for the betterment. Now next thing to note here is that the Jupiter is a sky element planet, and it will be transiting into the sign of Gemini, which is a air element sign. Now Jupiter amplifies the themes of intellectual curiosity, communication, and abstract thinking, because your desires may expand towards knowledge acquisition, social connections, or creative expression also, though there is a caution against over idealization. The airy nature of Gemini encourages mental ability or your mental agility, but may also highlight a need to stay grounded and to have your ideas into practical action. This is very important, particularly in the fields requiring manual skill or detailed craftsmanship. So maybe the people who are into anything which is related to craftsmanship, where your hands are being used, you will see certain huge amount of prosperity coming in these next 5-6 months, because Jupiter is the karaka of prosperity, wealth, and everything, every good aspect of our life. So the Jiva Karaka coming into the sign of Gemini, and if you are into that Gemini type of work related to hands, related to detail, we can also take details in this consideration, because the Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is that perfection oriented planet, and that planet is obsessed with that details oriented, it possesses that nature. So this is to be noted that your desires, because a calm trigon will be activated in a general way, will be huge, because all the people around this world will be filled in with hopes, because they'll be seeing something getting into action, because Jupiter is also the karaka of hope. And also Your desires will be inflated because Jupiter is a sky element planet and going into an Aries sign. So in a nutshell, it is a very good period for all of us, and Jupiter, being the most benefic planet in our solar system, will bestow only good things to people, be it in a protective state or in a blessing way. So let's move forward and let's understand this transit for the specific ascendants. And if you want to see how your Jupiter will behave placed in the natal chart in a specific house, then you can go and watch that video. I have given the link in description and you can check it from there. Now, starting with the Aries Ascendant people. Now, Jupiter here will be moving through the Gemini sign into your third house, and it will light up your calm trikon or calm trine, which is related to wealth, your desires, your relationships. So Jupiter rules the ninth house of the dharma, luck, higher learning, spirituality, and is a dharma trikon house, and the 12th house of moksha, hidden matters, private rooms, creativity, which is a moksha house. So this transit will bring big hopes and wishes. You might see growth through your younger siblings. Also, short trips to holy places or temples are likely, or meetings with some people who are mentor of guru-like figure in their respective fields. Visiting temples in the northeastern direction of the country could bring good luck in your case. Business partnerships, and especially involving short trips abroad or in foreign lands, might grow and they can bring you gains. But be careful not to share your past mistakes or times someone have tricked you or misguided you. You use those lessons quietly to help yourself. You could meet a wise philosophical person who becomes like a sibling or like a close friend in this transit, helping you to grow and get gains. Now, these all things will be manifested hugely through your birth chart placement of Jupiter. So you can check that position of the Jupiter in your birth chart for the HD predictions. But in a nutshell, this transit will fill you with hopes, and then when Jupiter will transit into the sign of Cancer, those hopes and wishes, they might get into action and they may take shape later on in the later half of the year. So this is a very good transit for all of you Aries ascendants, and do not forget to check the placement of your Jupiter. Like if your Jupiter is placed in the 5th house, being an Aries ascendant, so it simply is signifying the gains related to creativity, self-expression, and through foreign lands as well. Now, if you are engaged in a creative task related to foreign land, you might get huge gains and you might get prosperity coming in through that work. Also, you should check the placement of the nakshatra lord of Jupiter. That is very important, because then you will get more clarity upon how this transit will be behaving or manifesting or resulting in your case. So let's move forward and let's understand this transit for the Taurus ascendant people. Now, for Taurus ascendant people, Jupiter will be transiting into the 2nd house of your horoscope, activating the earth trikon in your case, which is related to wealth, resources. Now, Jupiter rules your 8th house, which is related to shared money with your spouse, secrets, and occult mysticism, and the 11th house, which is related to gains, hopes, desire, wishes, social circle, your elder siblings. And this transit will bring the themes of letting go, moksha, and desires, calm, in shape. Since Jupiter acts as a functional malefic in your case, why? Because its mool trikon sign, which is Sagittarius, falls in the 8th house of your horoscope, which is related to challenges, suddenness, transformations. So as a Taurus ascendant, things might feel mixed in your case. Your family could grow suddenly, maybe through marriage or a new baby or someone moving in. This might strain your budget or make you rethink about your past choices, that why did I intermingle with this particular person so much that now he or she is on my head. But it could also bring family stability. Issues like deaths, health problems, or enemies may calm down or stabilize because your earth trikon is activated. Now career plan might stay as ideas for now, but they will take shape as when Jupiter will be transiting into the sign of Cancer after 5-6 months. Your friend circle could expand and they could grow quickly, but check your birth chart to see if these connections will be positive or negative, because that is very important, being taking into consideration that Jupiter is not a very good planet in your case. So focus on balancing dreams with reality, especially with the unplanned family challenges. So these could be seen in your case. Also, because the 11th house is also involved here, so maybe whatever you'll hope or desire in these 4 to 5 months will be manifested, will definitely get manifested after the month of October in this year only, because then Jupiter will be in the sign of Cancer, and then it will try to get you gains and prosperity through its placement. Also, maybe someone's a sudden growth, a sudden person coming into your family which is disturbing your budget, your monthly budget, is for your betterment, is for your personal growth, but you are not able to see it now, because whatever things we can predict as astrologers is the end product. We cannot tell you the between the domino chain or the domino effect which is taking you to that position, which is taking you to that byproduct. So that thing has to be taken into consideration. So maybe if you find these 4 or 5 months tricky and challenging, don't be demotivated and just have patience and move with calmness and faith, and then things will definitely get better for you. So let's move forward and let's understand this transit for the people having Gemini rising. So for the people having Gemini rising, Jupiter's transit will be into your first house, which is related to self, personality, and it will light up your Dharma Trikona because the first house is involved. Now it will the third trikona is related to your purpose, your career, your duty, and your life path. Now, as the ruler of the seventh house, relationships, partnerships will also be the theme this time, and the 10th house, career, reputation, will also be the theme in this transit of yours. Now, since Jupiter is moving forward after being retrograde, you might feel guilty about past mistakes linked to your 7th house, meaning your partnerships, or your 10th house, like your career choices. But maybe you compromised your values or hurt someone's trust. That is why you are getting this feeling right now in this transit. But instead of talking openly about this thing, about these regrets, you should use them as the lessons to make the wiser decisions in your life now. Now, Jupiter being a positive planet in your case, because it rules the Kendra houses, will support growth in relationship and your career as well. So, especially if you focus on fairness and honesty, so you could see that you will be filled with hope, with positivity, and you can progress in teamwork, business dealings, or you can also get recognition at work. Now check where your Jupiter is placed in the birth chart so that you can get the HD predictions for how to play out with this energy for you personally. But the thing is that you will be regretting the past actions also, that why did I do that, and then you will be thanking your luck also, that yes, now I'm getting opportunity. So it will be a mix of transit. Now Jupiter transit is about balancing growth with introspection. So for Gemini risings, focus on aligning your actions with your true purpose. Checking Jupiter's natal placement will help a lot in this case and will add more clarity to how these themes show up in your life. Now keep a journal track and to track the lessons and blessings. It will make you make the most out of this phase. You should be writing this out. You should be propagating this out. Maybe you will be seeing yourself propagating a new philosophy, a new paradigm into the world or into your workspace also. So these things will be manifested. Also, if you will just cling onto that regret portion, this transit, which can be potentially hugely benefit you, can turn into something useless or fruitless or futile. So you shouldn't be doing that. Just focus on your work, focus on the new opportunities which will be coming in through your 7th house and through your 10th house. Also, you can also see that the duty or your dharma related to 7th house will be enhanced. Maybe you can see your spouse getting into some kind of trouble, or your marriage getting into some kind of trouble, so you have to pay attention to that. Or in case if you are single, or if you are not married, then you will be filled with hopes and positivity that yes, this is the time, and I'll get, although I'm not married, but I'll get married to the right person sooner or later, and you will be filled with hope and desires. So it is a very good and positive period for you, and you should be focusing on the good things instead of the bad things which happened in the past, which will get you going towards better and better. So let's move forward and let's understand this transit for the people having Cancer risings. Now, for Cancer rising ascendants, Jupiter's transit will be through your 12th house of hidden matters, spirituality, endings, and new beginnings. Activates your Moksha Trigon. This transit will be activating that, which is the zone of liberation, healing, and letting go of desires or things which you cannot control. Now, Jupiter rules your 6th house, the house of health, your daily work, your challenges, your enemies, your diseases, and the 9th house in your case, which is your luck, higher learning, fortune, spirituality, your father figures. So, this transit mixes practical and spiritual themes in your case. Now, even though your Jupiter isn't a clear good planet in your case, why? Because its Mool Trigon sign falls in the 6th house of struggles, which is Sagittarius. Now, it will still try to protect you from the 12th house troubles like stress, or secrets, or your self damaging view. You might feel drawn to meditation, retreats, or charity work. Health issues or your work stress could ease up, and you might think, or you might find unexpected help from mentors or spiritual gurus. Travel for learning or spiritual growth could bring clarity in your case. However, since Jupiter also rules the 9th house in your case, which is a good house, a Trikona house, so stay open to surprises like a sudden opportunity to study abroad or connect with teacher who changes your perspectives. And why am I saying this? That the suddenness will be there because see, Jupiter is the planet which contains two opposite energies in your case, the 6th house energy and the 9th house energy. Now, 6th house being a Dushtana house and the 9th house being a good house, a Trikona house, a prosperous house, it feels mixed kind of energy into the Jupiter in your case. So you will be seeing that. Also, with Jupiter transiting into the 12th house is not very bad for you, although it is the lord of 6th house. Why? Because Jupiter is the most benefic planet in our solar system, and wherever it transits is not meant to damage that thing. If he cannot bestow you with some blessings or good things, then it will try to negate that negative process. It will try to bring down that negativity. It will try to make your life more easier because it is the most beneficial planet in our solar system. So you shouldn't be scared of this placement. You shouldn't be thinking that will I suffer in this period. No, it is not so, and you can also get good out of this placement too, because it is Jupiter of which we are talking about. So let's move forward and let's understand this transit for the people having Leo risings. So for the Leo ascendants, Jupiter's transit through your 11th house in the sign of Gemini activates your Kam Trikona and the house related to gains, friendships, wishes, desires, social circles, incoming wealth. So this Kam Trikona, which will be lighted up in your case, will activate the desires and creativity, relationships, these themes. As the ruler of the 5th house, of Dharm Trikon related to romance, kids, creativity, and the ruler of the 8th house. In your case, the Pisces sign falls there, of shared resources, inheritance, shared secrets, suddenness, transformations. So this transit in the 11th house can bring a time where your big hopes and dreams would start feeling real, like a balloon filling up. If your birth chart supports this placement or this transit, you might see growth in creative projects, investments, or even surprises through friends or groups or your social circles or your elder siblings. They might help in certain ways. But since Jupiter is moving forward after being retrograde, you might also feel a little guilt or regret about past choices linked to the 5th house, which is kids, love affairs, or financial secrets. Maybe you took a risk that didn't go well or hurt someone's trust, and instead of overthinking it, you should be taking the lesson out of it. You should be learning that lesson out of it and focusing on rebuilding those things. Now, Jupiter's kindness will help you attract supportive people or opportunities that align with your true goals. Now, just stay grounded, and not every wish will fly, but the ones that match your karma will definitely get manifested in these 4 to 5 months or the next 4 to 5 months when the Jupiter will be transiting in the sign of Cancer in your 12th house. Now, Leo risings, that this is your time to aim high but stay patient. Check Jupiter's position in your birth chart. It will show how strongly these themes will play out. Remember, Jupiter rewards honesty and efforts. So work on your goals, forgive past slip ups or problems, and trust the purpose. Good things take time, but they are definitely on the way. So you should be grounded. You shouldn't be, if you are filled with hopes and desires, because Jupiter transiting into an airy and calm Trikon sign, and because that sign is placed directly into this calm Trikon house of yours, which is the 11th house, is also related to calm Trikon. So the themes of hopes and desires will be profound in your case in these 4 to 5 months. But you should take this into consideration, that whatever things will align or whatever hopes and wishes will add up to your karma or will add up to your growth will surely get manifested. You shouldn't be demotivating yourself that it didn't happen and I wish for that, because it wasn't for the betterment, because it wasn't adding to your wealth and your growth in any way. That is why it wasn't there and it didn't happen. So you have to take that thing into consideration and move forward with maturity and patience. So let's move forward and let's understand this transit for the people having Virgo risings. For the Virgo rising people, Jupiter's transit will be happening into the 10th house in your case of career, reputation, public image, happiness of the marriage, and it will activate your Earth Trikon, which is the 10th house, which is the zone of wealth, stability, recognition, and Jupiter ruling your 4th house of home, family, mother, emotions, homeland, and the 7th house of relationships, partnerships, business dealings, marketplace. Now, Jupiter brings blessings to your work life balance and collaborations. It is a very good transit in your case. You might see growth in your career through family support or property dealings or partnerships. For example, a business with a spouse or a friend could take off. Maybe if you give some small portion of your business to your mother, then prosperity will come in. You might get recognition for balancing home and work gracefully. But since Jupiter is moving direct after being retrograde, in retrograde motion and entering the Gemini sign again, the old regrets about family conflicts or partnerships mistakes might pop up in your mind. They may stress you out, but maybe you those things happened because you ignored a loved one's needs or rushed into a deal, prioritizing your benefit. So don't dwell onto it. Use that awareness to make better choices and decisions now. Jupiter's positive energy will help you fix past issues and build stronger foundations. So keep an eye on your teamwork and avoid ego clashes with anyone, especially related to your workplace. Stay humble and your efforts will shine, of course, in this period, because Jupiter, being a Yoga Karaka planet for you and ruling the two Kendra houses, and again transiting into the Kendra house, is a very good placement for you. So Virgo risings, they should focus on balancing duty with heart. Checking Jupiter's position in your natal chart will show how strongly these themes will play out. But remember that Jupiter rewards honesty and patience, and you should be working towards it. So work on your goals and work on your desires and hopes, and forgive those past problems and regrets and mistakes which you did, and trust the process. Good things will be coming in. Also, with this transit, you might see certain challenges at your workplace, because Jupiter is in the position of its actual debilitation of the 10th house. So maybe you can see some problems if your Jupiter is not well placed in the chart. For example, if it is in the 10th house of itself, a Jupiter return, or if it is in maybe in the 12th or 6th or 8th house, then maybe some challenges might pop up at your workplace. But then also remember that they are for the betterment. If it wouldn't have come up, then it would have definitely brought you down at your workplace further in your life or further in your career. So you have to take that into consideration, and you should be thanking Jupiter if it is posing challenges in you, because it is trying to protect you and it is trying to lower that negative aspects out of your life. So you should be focusing on that, and don't get demotivated if you feel that certain things are not working out in my workplace or in my career, because those things which will be happening, be it negative or positive, are important in order to grow in your case. So don't be demotivated and just go on with patience, hope, and positivity in yourself. So let's move forward and let's understand this transit for the people having Libra rising. Now, for the Libra ascendants, Jupiter's transit will be happening through your 9th house of luck, higher learning, spirituality, father figures, gurus, mentors, and it will be lighting up your Dharma Trikon, which the 9th house is associated to. Dharma Trikon is the zone of life purposes, duties, ethics, morality. As the ruler of the 3rd house, siblings, courage, short trips, and these things and these themes will play in. And as the ruler of the 6th house, health, work routines, challenges, debt issues, your enemies, diseases, these themes will be activated. This transit blends your daily grind with bigger dreams, because your Dharma Trikon is activated. You might feel a strong pull to travel or to study in higher courses, higher learning courses, or connect with your mentors or gurus from the past or your childhood. Maybe you can even plan a trip to some pilgrimage, or your growth could come through siblings. These are the themes which will be activated. A new skill or solving work related issues in creative ways will, you'll be manifesting these things highly in these next 4 to 5 months. For example, a short course on workshops could open doors in your case, or could accelerate your profession. Your sibling might introduce you to someone like a helpful contact, but since Jupiter is moving forward after its retrogradation phase, old regrets about communication, conflicts related to the 3rd house with siblings, or health, or work habits, or challenges, enemies, these guilt related to these things might resurface. But why this thing will get resurfaced, or you'll feel that guilt in you? Because maybe you ignored your siblings advice, or you cut corners at work. So now, instead of getting in that regret mode or having that guilt, use these lessons to act more wisely now. Jupiter's blessings will help you grow spiritually and intellectually. Just stay open to learning new ideas and avoid cutting corners with people at your workplace, or just having that bad relationship with your father or mentors. But for the detailed explanation, you will have to check your birth placement of the Jupiter, where it is placed, and how this phase will affect you. You will get more clarity from there with Jupiter's placement in your natal chart. Now, Libra risings, this is your time to align with action, with your higher purpose. You should think big but stay humble. Jupiter's transit is about growth through lessons. Keep a general track upon insights. Don't shy away from tough conversations or self reflection. Remember, Jupiter rewards patience and honesty. So, if your birth chart support this transit, you will get gains out of it. You will get certain breakthroughs related to faith, your career, your fortune, your finances, and even your family bonds can strengthen. But you will have to stay grounded. You should forgive those past problems and mistakes which you did, and you should keep moving forward. The universe is nudging you towards wiser, brighter, and better days. But you have to enjoy that journey, and you have to traverse that path, because you clinging on to that problems and guilt and regret would never get you at any place better. So it is better to leave those mistakes and learn from them instead of clinging on to them. And I personally don't believe that Jupiter is a very bad planet for you. It is a neutral planet in your case, because its Mool Trikon sign Sagittarius falls in the third house of yours, which is a Upacha house. So maybe if you are 30 or 30 plus, you have had a Saturn return in your chart. So maybe that Jupiter won't do bad to you and would bring in prosperity, because the Upacha house, they get good and they get better with time. So this is the theme which you will be facing, which you will be seeing. And also, don't try to intermingle negatively with your siblings or get into conflicts with them, because then those themes will be expanded, because Jupiter has that tendency of expansion. So it is very important in your case to understand these things. Be patient, be grounded, and move forward while enjoying the journey. So let's move forward and let's understand this transit for the Scorpio Ascendants. So for the Scorpio Ascendant people, your Jupiter will be transiting into the 8th house of secrets, transformation, shared resources, in-laws, and it will activate your Moksha Trikona. And the Moksha Trikona is the zone of healing and letting go of desires, problems, and egos. The Jupiter rules your 2nd house of income, family values, food, accumulated wealth, and the 5th house of creativity, romance, kids, stock market risks. So Jupiter brings unexpected twist to finances or your family or your creative projects. You might see gains through inheritance, loans, or joint ventures with your spouse, or a past investment, or your in-laws, and it could finally pay off your debts or problems. Now, emotionally, this transit could push you to heal old family wounds or rethink your self-worth. It will push you into introspection. For example, like resolving a money conflict with relative or reconnecting with a childhood friends might resurface in your case. But since Jupiter is moving direct after retrogression and will be again entering the sign of Gemini, regrets about past financial risks, 2nd house, or accumulated wealth, or romantic creative choices, regret related to the 5th house, might pop up. So maybe you overspent or rushed into a relationship. But don't beat up yourself for that. Use that awareness to make smarter choices now in your life. Jupiter's protective energy will guide you through these changes and challenges. It will help you release that baggage and transform your mindset, because the moksha trigon is involved and the eighth house is also involved. So spiritual practices like meditation or therapy could feel healing. It has healed you in your case. And you might also get connected to astrology, or you might light up sudden interest in astrology, occult, or mysticism. Maybe you'll start listening to those true crime podcasts, or story which are being told by people these days on YouTube. And these things might pop up because your interest towards learning the knowledge of eighth house will be manifested in this transit. So you should be checking on that. Now, in my opinion, you shouldn't be shying away from conversations or your in-laws, or if you want to talk out any problem with anyone or your relative. Because see, if you won't do that, then maybe, because Jupiter will be directly aspecting your second house, although the aspect part is not taken into consideration in these transits, aspect is taken into consideration in the natal placement. But yes, somewhere it will, or it can affect your accumulated wealth, your family bonds, or your prosperity also, because moon gets exalted in the second house. So you have to take that into consideration. Start solving your problems, start talking out to people, don't shy away, and just don't indulge yourself into completely into the eighth house. Because if you start studying about the eighth house, which is astrology, mysticism, occult, or some taboo, all the taboo niches in this world about crime and criminal psychology, and if you won't express that thing or anything, in your case if you won't talk to people, then this might, this energy can suck you. Basically it can create a vacuum inside you. You can feel hollow from inside, which can then lead to emotional insecurities. So in my opinion, in this transit you should be open to everyone. I am not saying that don't search these things, don't get into the eighth house, learning about the eighth house. You should be doing that, you are destined to do that, but just make yourself available to everyone and around your loved ones, especially who care for you. So this was my advice for all these Scorpio ascendants, and let's move forward and let's understand this transit for the people having Sagittarius rising. So for the Sagittarius ascendants, this Jupiter's transit will be happening into the 7th house of yours, of partnership, marriage, business dealings, meetings, of public dignity, societal reputation, and it will light up your calm trigon, which is the zone of desires, connections, and courage, moving towards your goal. As the ruler of your first house, your Lagnesh, related to your self, personality, and Jupiter being the lord of your fourth house of home, family, emotions, this transit bring a focus on balancing your independence with teamwork. Be at your workplace or at home with your spouse. Marriage is also a teamwork. You might attract partnerships that feel like a mirror, helping you grow personally or heal family related emotions or your emotional insecurities. For example, a businessman, partner, or spouse could push you to confront habits or insecurities you have ignored throughout these years. Gains could come through collaborations, marriage, or even resolving property matters. But since Jupiter is moving forward after retrogression from the sign of Taurus, old regrets about self centered choices, first house, or family conflicts, fourth house, or problems or conflicts with your mother might resurface. Maybe you prioritize your goals over a loved one's need or avoided your emotional responsibilities. So now you are in guilt. So instead of getting into this guilt, use this awareness to build fairer, kinder relationship towards your mother, yourself, and introspecting into your personality. And just learn from those lessons. Don't cling on to them. That would be the worst thing which you can do in this transit. Mutual growth is possible, meaning your and your spouse's growth. Just avoid forcing your ideas onto everyone. That might bring up challenges because your Lagnesh is in the 7th house in a Mandkarika position. So maybe you can feel certain challenges in the 7th house, in your marriage, in your partnerships, in your business alliances. But this Jupiter's transit will shape your partnerships for future. So for all the Sagittarius risings, my advice would be that this is a time to learn through partnerships, and compromise without losing yourself will be the theme in your case. So this Jupiter's transit is all about turning past lessons into wiser actions. If your birth chart supports this placement, or if it gives aspects, if your Jupiter is placed in the 3rd or 11th house, this transit might find you love or business success. While if it is placed somewhere else, these themes won't be manifested strongly in your case, but lightly. So you should check that from your natal placement of the Jupiter, wherever it is placed in your chart. And the thing is that don't get overly obsessed with anything. This is something which I should be telling you. Why? Because your Jupiter is directly looking at your ascendant, at your Lagna. So over obsession towards anything can get problem in you, be it mental or physical. So you eating a certain kind of food can get you health problems, or you thinking about certain ideas or certain things can give you mental stress or strain. So you should avoid that. You shouldn't be doing that. But overall, this placement is good. Although Jupiter is in the Mandkarika position, but Jupiter isn't bad. Even if it's debilitated, even if it's retrograde, or in whatever condition it is, because Jupiter is the most benefic planet in our solar system, and it, even if it is not there to bless you with something good, it will try to protect you, and it will try to lower that negative consequences out of its bad placement. So you shouldn't be focusing, or you shouldn't be scared from this placement or from this transit, because it will, if it won't be able to give you good things, it will protect you from certain bad things which you will realize later on in your life. So let's move forward and let's understand this transit for the people having Capricorn rising. Now, for the people having Capricorn rising, this Jupiter's transit will be happening into the 6th house of yours, of your horoscope, which is related to health, work, daily routine, your job, your enemies, your diseases, your debt. And it activates your Earth Trikon, which is the zone of wealth, stability, your career, your family, your food, your prosperity. And the Jupiter rules the 12th house, in your case, of hidden matters, spirituality, foreign connections, and the 3rd house of siblings, courage, short trips, and travels, and business meetings, media, television, publication. So Jupiter in this transit will mix practical and spiritual themes in your case. Since Jupiter acts as a functional malefic for you. Why? Because its Mool Trikon sign, which is Sagittarius, falls in the 12th house, which is a Dushtana house. So as a Capricorn rising, this transit might feel a tricky or a bit tricky, but purposeful, because your health issues or your work stress could improve, or maybe a chronic problem finally gets diagnosed, or a co-worker becomes helpful ally in your case. But now you'll be thinking that I am diagnosed with this disease, or I have to ally with this person which I hated all these years. But just think of it as a betterment. It is a betterment plan in your case, because Jupiter, wherever it is transiting, whatever signs it rules or houses it rules, are for the betterment and are for the good. You should feel this. You will feel this at the end of this transit, when Jupiter will transit into the sign of Cancer, that whatever happened was for the betterment. Maybe you are diagnosed with something now, and it will increase your longevity. So you will get this idea that thank God I was diagnosed with these things, because Jupiter, wherever it is placed or wherever it transits, will never do bad or harm to you, because Jupiter is the most benefic planet in our solar system. It is not able to give you good results out of things or placement it has been bestowed with. Still, it will try to protect you from those bad happenings or bad dealings. You might also find hidden support through your spiritual practices, or therapy, or meditation, or behind the scene mentors who guided you, who were there for you always, but they weren't in the light or in the scene, but they were there helping you all the way through. Short trips for work or to meet sibling could bring opportunities in your case. But with Jupiter being direct and coming out of its retrogression, will give you that old regret and will activate that guilt in you about the secrets or foreign land opportunities which you missed, or your miscommunication or your communication issues with your siblings. These things might resurface, but maybe you are getting this guilt because you hid a truth from your sibling, or you ignored your sibling's advice. But you don't have to apologize onto anything, and you shouldn't be clinging onto that, because Jupiter's energy will help you organize your routines, heal grudges, and find peace in small daily wins. You shouldn't be clinging onto that guilt now, and you should just learn from it and move forward. This is the most important theme in your case with this transit. Now, as Capricorn risings, focusing on balancing work with self-care is very important. Now, Jupiter's transit is about turning past lessons into wiser actions, especially if it has been in retrograde motion and now it is getting direct. So if your birth chart supports this placement and this transit, you could overcome health hurdles or workplace tensions. But you should keep your goals realistic. Don't be filled with over optimism. Forgive old mistakes, whatever happened, it happened, and stay open to constructive criticism. Jupiter rewards effort, not perfection. So small steady steps will lead to bigger wins down the road. So you have to trust the process, and don't forget to check your natal placement of the Jupiter for deeper clarity. So let's move forward and let's understand this transit for the people having Aquarius risings. So Jupiter's transit through your 5th house as Aquarius Ascendant. The 5th house is related to creativity, romance, kids, investments. It will light up your Dharma Trikon, which is related to higher purpose, your life path, your duty, your karma. And as the ruler of your 11th house of being social circle, friends, groups, hopes, desires, wishes, older siblings, and this lord of 2nd house of income, family, values, and accumulated wealth, your relatives. This transit mixes fun with practicality in your case. You might see growth through creative projects like starting a hobby that turns into a side income or side hustle, or reconnecting with friends who inspire new ideas. If you have been hoping for a baby or wanting to invest, Jupiter's support could make these dreams feel closer, or getting into shape, or getting into action. So gains might also come through group activities or social networks. In your case, maybe a friend recommends you a good contact, or he or she recommends you for a project or a team, and your efforts they pay off and you finally get promotion or raise. But since Jupiter is moving forward after being retrograde in the sign of Taurus, so old regrets about money choices, the 2nd house, accumulated wealth, your family bonds, or group conflicts related to 11th house, disputes with friends might pop up and you might feel guilty. But maybe you are in this spot because you overspent to fit into this friend circle, or you ignored your family values for your social approval. So instead of this guilt, use these lessons to balance fun with responsibility, and check your natal placement of the Jupiter for deeper clarity and for more HD predictions. For more details, like whether a creative risk could boost your income or not, or heal your family bonds or not. But in a nutshell, these themes will be manifested and you will see getting better and better with time. So, Aquarius risings, this is your time to blend creativity with smart choices. Let your heart guide you, but keep a budget. This is very important. For this Jupiter's transit is about learning from the past to build a brighter future in your case. If your birth chart supports this placement and this transit, you might find joy in creative risks. And while Pisces could find peace through family or home projects and falling into the second house of yours, but mistakes are just lessons, and forgive yourself. Don't be so harsh on yourself. Adjust your path and keep going, and Jupiter's blessings will work best when you are honest with yourself and others as well. And you should trust the growth, and it takes time to get manifested, but every small step it counts. So this is the theme and this is the lesson which you should understand and which you should work upon. So let's move forward and let's understand this transit for the people having Pisces rising. So for the people having Pisces as their rising, so much is already going in your first house. But this Jupiter transit will be happening into the fourth house of yours, of home, family, emotions, and it activates your Moksha Trikona, a zone of healing and inner peace and liberation. And Jupiter being the lord of your 10th house of career, reputation at workplace, and the lord of your first house, which is your Lagnesh, of self-care, personality, your being on this planet Earth. Jupiter here blends your outer ambitions with inner needs. You might feel a pull to slow down, spend time with family, or make your home cozier and more comfortable. Career growth could come through property deals, working from home, or your partner's support. These things are important. For example, a job offer might let you relocate closer to your family, or your renovating your home could boost your mood, which could give you productivity at the work front. But since Jupiter is moving direct after being retrograde, old regrets and career choices about the related to the 10th house career choices, or self doubt, or things which you did in past as being yourself might resurface. That maybe you prioritize your work over family, or hid your true self to please others. So it might get a sense of guilt in you, but don't dwell onto these things. Use this clarity and this guilt to create a life that feels authentic. Jupiter's energy will help you heal family tensions, find emotional security, or even reconnect with your roots or your spiritual practices like meditation or journaling could also bring peace in your case, or talking to your mother could also light up your mood and could help you introspect and help you get out of that guilt in you. So it is very important in your case that these themes will shape you up, like whether a career shift could stabilize your home life or not. But now the question is that how will these things really get manifested in your case? So you will have to check your Jupiter's position. These shape the themes of like whether your career shift could stabilize your home life or not, or will it bring more trouble to it. So you have to check that if your natal Jupiter placement supports this transit or not. As a Pisces rising, you focus on building a safe emotional foundation. Your career can thrive through this thinking. When your home life feels steady and stable. For this Jupiter's transit, is about learning from the past to build a brighter future in your case. And if your birth chart supports this, then that is great thing. And if not, then you should be, it is not bad in your case, because Jupiter is the most benefic planet and it is your Lagna, so it won't do harm. Pisces could find peace through family or home projects. Mistakes are just lessons. Forgive yourself and adjust your path according to the family needs. Maybe you shouldn't be prioritizing yourself. Maybe you should just, you shouldn't be thinking of getting, that creativity and that self isolation. Just trust that thing, that home is also important, because being a Pisces ascendant, you love isolation, you love being alone, you love that meditation. But it is important for you to understand that Venus gets exalted in the first house of yours, and Venus is the karaka of that partnership which creates that home environment. Because when you get married and you have children, and that home is created, so you have to understand that thing, that every time isolation is not important, and every time it won't get you gains. So maybe you should settle that dispute with your family, you should settle that dispute with your partner, and you should be focusing, maintaining a balance at your work front and in your family life as well. So this was my analysis for the people having their Pisces rising and this Jupiter transit. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel. And I will be bringing a video on a very interesting topic, that is how to check your partner's moon sign and sun sign, or for the matchmaking purposes. It has been suggested by a dear subscriber. So please do suggest me some great topics and some interesting topics which I should discuss on this channel, on which we can get some deeper, unique insights. Also, don't forget to watch the natal Jupiter placement in your chart video that I've uploaded few days ago. So you should be looking onto that for deeper connection. Maybe you can mix this transit video with that video. And also, I'll be bringing the video of your Jupiter placement in the sign and this transit of the Jupiter in Gemini sign, mixing up both of those things, both of those topics, and we'll be discussing more unique approaches and events which can manifest in your life. Stay connected and we'll keep interacting in the comment section below. Thank you.